You're listening to the Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson podcast.
On September 13th through the 15th, make history. Join me, Glenn Beck, and attend the inaugural Covenant America celebration held on the beautiful Ozark Ranch just outside of Branson, Missouri. I'll be keynoting the event on Saturday night, and the event will also include 2 days of the best Branson entertainment and other patriotic and inspiring speakers. Of course, Sunday is going to be reserved for worship services. The event is sponsored by the producer of the new movie Red Wing. It'll emphasize the vital importance of the Declaration of Independence. Every signer of the Declaration of Independence, as well as the indispensable man, George Washington, adamantly affirmed the protection of divine providence. They pledged everything, their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. Covenant America will explore who America is and why Israel is more than just an ally. Learn how the grievances of the Declaration of Independence apply to us today. Tickets for this event are going fast. Order yours at covenantamerica.us. That's covenantamerica.us.
You're streaming the Blaze Radio Network. And if you didn't know already, you can take us with you anywhere you go. Just download the free iPad and iPhone app at theblaze.com/radio.
Warning, the following program has been cited for its copious inclusion of the word freedom, and therefore has been deemed a concern. Listening may subject you to additional scrutiny by the IRS, TSA, DOJ, DHS, CIA, NSA, DNC, FCC, USPS, FDA.
This is the sound of common sense defending freedom. The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson.
Boy, I am so sick of hearing how good the economy is doing all weekend long. I hear about the jobs creator down to 7.4% unemployment. Look at this. Over the last 4 years or so, slowly that unemployment's just ticking right down. We're doing great. America's right on track. We are poised now to just rocket the economy right up. Look at that. Everybody going back to work. 7.4%. Created 162,000 new jobs last month. And June created a bunch as well. Boy, things are just going along swimmingly. It's not. It's horrible. It's bad. And people are not confronting the truth about what's going on. We are in a very bad way when it comes to jobs. And when you see these unemployment numbers, they're never accurate. You know that what they're talking about is the number of people that are filing for unemployment insurance. You know this does not take into account the many other factors, including the people who no longer are eligible for unemployment. It's not good. It's very, very bad. And by the current administration coming out and telling you how great the jobs numbers are, they are doing you a disservice. They're doing all Americans a disservice, not the least of which is lulling many, many people into this false sense of security that we're on the right track. We are not. We are nowhere near on the right track. And we haven't been for a long time. We got a lot of stuff to cover today. We've got a lot of stuff from new NSA spying information, terrorist threats around the globe. Over the weekend, I was talking to my dad and brother and some other family members, had an opportunity to spend a little time together. We were talking about all kinds of different stuff, and I said, wait a minute. It's time to think about all of this stuff we're talking about. What new ideas are we trying? From terrorism and security to the unemployment, we keep doing the same things over and over and over again. I don't care if it's a Republican administration or Democrat administration. It doesn't matter who has control in Congress. It's virtually the same things. We are doing virtually the same things over and over and over again. When it comes to foreign policy, we do the same things over and over again. When it comes to domestic policy, the same things over and over again. There are little variations, but it's still basically the same ideas. And where's it getting us? 7.4% unemployment rate people are cheering about. And even if that was accurate, even if it was a balance between part-time and full-time jobs, it wasn't underemployment, even if that was accurate, it's still horrible. Here's what they're not telling you. The big number of jobs that were added last month and the month before, that got us to our now 7.4% unemployment rate are part-time or low-paying jobs. So they're employed, but they're still underemployed one way or another. Part-time work accounted for 65% of all of those magical 162,000 jobs that were created last month. 65% of them were part-time. I don't know about you, but if you got a couple of kids, that's probably not doing you real well. Unless somebody's paying you $1 billion an hour, it's probably not real good for you. And most of the jobs were in things like retail, restaurants, bars, service jobs. Folks, even if those were full-time jobs, and even if those jobs were suddenly paying more, that type of industry, service jobs, even if they were paying more and they were full-time, that's not solid for an economy anyway. We've talked about it before. You have to have a mixture of all kinds of jobs, including manufacturing. That's what builds nations. It's what built America. It would build the middle class in America. And if we don't have those, we're still living on borrowed time. It has to be a balance. We're creating a service-driven economy, bars and restaurants and retailers. And those are the first things to go. Why did we have such a disaster a few years back? What were the first jobs to go? Service jobs. It's not like they were great jobs to begin with. More than half of them are low-paying, service-oriented jobs. Bars, restaurants, retailers.
Well, and we're getting into the time of the year now, too, and more of those people that are going to be hired and given part-time jobs are going to be seasonal, temporary jobs as well. I would love to see a true number to show the exact number of people that actually are underemployed or unemployed, because the numbers that are being reported are grossly, grossly wrong. Yeah,
unemployment, first of all, I would love to have an accurate number there.
It would be amazing.
That's pissed me off since I can remember. As a kid, I remember having this conversation about unemployment numbers. We're talking during the Carter administration. And I remember this. And I think it was my dad who was saying, yeah, those aren't accurate numbers. Those are just people who filing for unemployment. I'm like, well, how many people don't have jobs? And it's like, well, they don't know. You have to go out and count everybody. They're not going to do that. And I remember year after year when I hear George W. Bush, unemployment's down at 4.8%. You don't know that. What are you talking about? So you're right. I'd love to have the accurate numbers there. The numbers as far as underemployed, the best numbers to look at, folks, is you, your family, your neighbors. Look around. And although you may have a limited view of what's going on in America just because we're all isolated to a degree, we live in our community and we may not know what's happening in other communities across the country. Generally speaking, look around, though, and you'll get a pretty good sense of what's going on. Your family and friends, they probably are living in different places in America, and talk to them. Are they doing well? Are they struggling? Most of the people I know are struggling. They're not doing well. They have run up their credit cards again. They are concerned with how they're going to pay for their kids' education, all of these things. And then take a look at the inflation numbers, something that has really been underreported. Look at inflation. What are your food costs now? Have you seen the price of food and how it's going up? Every stinking day I see something about some other sector of the economy with inflation going up, most of it food at this point. I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into it when you're talking about farming and growing things. It comes down to droughts and too much rain and all kinds of things like that. But generally speaking, look at the price of food. It's skyrocketed. So you have to think about that. Okay. So do you have a job? How's your job? Are you making enough money? How about your friends and family? Are they employed? They underemployed? How many people do you know that are no longer on unemployment because they're no longer eligible for it? They fell off the other end. Are they able to feed their families? Here's what's really going on here. The federal government is subsidizing, and has been for a long time, many, many of our lives. Not just with food stamps and other programs, but in a lot of ways. They are subsidizing us. What they're doing is saying, you no longer as an individual can, in the same way as people did 50 years ago, go out and get a good-paying job and live a middle-class life, earning money, and then taking that money and buying things. Because the dollar does not go as far as it used to. That continues to get worse. Your job no longer pays what it used to, and there are no longer those same number of jobs. So almost in some calculated fashion, they have started, don't pay any attention to those statistics. We'll just get you on the other side. No. We'll take care of some of your health care. We'll take care of all of your health care. We'll give you food stamps. We'll give you WIC. We'll give you all of this other stuff. We've got grants and subsidies and deductions, and then the states get in on the act. But the fact is, you are no longer able to be self-sufficient because the jobs aren't there. So they continue to tell you how great things are going. The service industries in America represent 39% of overall U.S. jobs at this point. 40% of our jobs are service jobs in America. 65% of the jobs created in the last couple of months were specifically in those industries. So what this also means is you and I have had enough of not going out and drinking, had enough of not going out and eating out to dinner and going to the mall and everything else. We put it off for a while. We said, you know what, we don't have the money. The economy's bad. So we'll go ahead and make our shoes last a little bit longer. We won't have that extra dinner out this month. And after a couple of years of this, we're done with it. We're going to go back and start buying these things again. So then those service industries have said, hey, we can hire a couple more people. Things are ticking up just there a little bit. What has changed? Do you have a bunch more money versus a couple of years ago? I mean, assuming that you haven't had a major job change or something like that. Most of us do not. Most of us suddenly don't have a bunch more money. So what are we doing? We went back to our ways, the things that the government taught us to do, and that is simply charge stuff.
Consume,
charge. Don't worry about where you're getting the money. If you have the money, just charge it.
What I would love to see is what percentage of the service-oriented jobs there were back in, say, 1950. How our country has changed in terms of our economy and what we
Less
produce.
than half of that. People didn't go out to dinner. There just weren't restaurants. People, I mean, think about it. How many times a year did you go out to dinner as a kid if you grew up in the 50s and 60s, 70s and 80s? It's just gotten more and more. As a kid, we didn't go out to dinner. We may have gone out. I mean, we went to McDonald's a couple of times here and there as a kid. If we went to the mall or something, we'd go for lunch, and it was real, low end. We went out to fancy restaurants a couple of times in my entire childhood. I mean, a regular sit down. And probably a diner a couple of times. I mean, that's it. You just didn't do it.
And when I was growing up, it was a birthday type thing. That's when you went out to a dinner. Other than that, it's eating at home.
We didn't even get that. We didn't go for a birthday. I mean, it was once in a while. It was literally a couple of times my entire childhood. And my parents had a solid middle class life, but they also had 5 kids. And it's like, I can spend that money now, or I can make money at home. We could do something else with it. Here's what's really interesting, though. The U.S. is slowly being converted, apparently by these numbers, to not only a service jobs industry country where it's primarily service jobs, but we're being converted into a part-time worker society. So what does that look like? We're not used to that. America, we've been the big dog, right? We have jobs, we have middle-class jobs, we have all of this stuff going on. So what does a service-directed country look like, or economy, and what does a part-time worker economy look like? If you want to know, look at Cuba. Look at what they've done. People cannot find jobs, but the government says, don't worry about it. We'll take care of you. We'll get the other end of that. Do they have? No. Just picks up some of the slack. It's not solid. It's not a solid foundation. The economy cannot sustain that way. It's going to end up crashing down. And those that do have work in countries like Cuba, often it's just part-time jobs. Of the 953,000 jobs that were touted as created by this administration, where they come out and bang their chest and say almost 1 million jobs so far in 2013, and they start promoting this. Look at this. Almost 1 million jobs have been created in 2013 alone. Of that 953,000, 77% are part-time. 731,000 of the 953,000 are part-time jobs. In June, part-time jobs exploded even higher than July's numbers. It's part-time, it's low-paying, it's service jobs. It's so funny, too, because some of the economists I've read recently, they're puzzled. They're saying, how can we manage to add 200,000 jobs a month on average this year, even though the annual rate is below 2% in the first half of the year? And they're like, well, how can we be doing this? And some of them suggested, well, maybe there's a new model here that chronically slow growth economy can generate many good-paying jobs, or can't create a bunch of good-paying jobs, but can produce lots of low-paying part-time wages. Well, yeah, of course. I don't know why this is so difficult for them to understand. I'm not an economist, and I can understand this. Of course, if you are a service-providing industry or economy primarily, and you've got as many people as America that are used to going out and eating out and stuff like that, yeah, of course you can do it. But that is not a good formula for success. In fact, it's not a formula for success at all. It's a formula for failure. By the way, the president has now said he has a new plan of how he's going to fix some of this.
Thank goodness.
He's gotten a new plan. I'm going to share that plan. You're going to want to hear this because I think this may be worth hearing.
I can't wait.
Quick break, and we'll come back. We'll also get some of your calls, 888-900-3393. You can also tweet at Doc Thompson Show. It's The Morning Blaze.
The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson on the Blaze Radio Network. Mercury. This is the Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson.
This is not good, folks. A service-driven economy, providing services and restaurants and bars and buying things at the mall where the jobs are simply people who ring you up. It's not good. And now that Chris Christie's had his stomach stapled, this is going to throw things way off. I mean, he stops.
Wow.
He cuts down 10% of his going to buy cheeseburgers. I mean, this you talk about
of New Jersey could be hurt there.
This is not good. I mean, it was bad enough when Charlie Sheen stopped buying booze. When he stopped buying partying, that threw everything off. Now, Chris Christie with his stomach staples. If Elliot Spitzer stops buying hookers and Amanda Bynes stops buying blow, this is going to be really bad, devastating.
Wow.
We got to keep these. I'm now encouraging people to email Chris Christie and say, please have that process reversed. I don't think we could take any chances at this point. I mean, the number of donuts alone could wreck the confectionery and bakery industry.
I have seen stories that the Jersey Boardwalk just has not been the same since the stomach stapling occurred.
Yeah, I haven't seen those numbers, but I don't think it would be good. I mean,
in fairness, soon he'll be able to ride the Ferris wheel again.
That's true. And soon, you mean?
A couple years?
Maybe, possibly. I know if I was the CEO of Dunkin' Donuts, I'd be good. This is very, very bad, folks. This is really bad. Email Chris. Encourage him. Please start eating again. We are a service-driven economy, and we cannot take any chances with somebody like you not continuing to consume the way that you have in the past. Very, very bad. By the way, did you see he denied turned down the beer summit? Okay, the back and forth. Rand Paul back and forth with Chris Christie, right? Because Chris Christie's an idiot. Anyways, so Rand came out and basically said, hey, let's hook up, let's sit down, let's talk. This is all silly arguing back and forth, and Chris Christie turned him down. And it was a beer summit, I guess, like that's the modern age now. For the cameras, just sit down and have a beer summit, let's have a beer together, which is stupid. But at least Rand Paul said, hey, let's hook up. This is silly arguing back and forth. He turned him down. So I have a suggestion for Rand. Your mistake was you said, let's have a beer summit. Let's share a beer.
Oh.
If you'd said, let's have a 600 donut summit. Let's sit down and have a bunch of... I think he likely would have said, okay.
The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson. Mercury.
Thompson. 888-900-3393 or tweet at Doc Thompson Show. Let's get to a call real quick. Let's go to Trucker Joe. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great.
Where are you calling from? You in Texas today?
Yeah, I'm currently in Texas heading to Laredo. It's a scary town.
Is it? I've not been in Laredo. I've been in other parts, not in Laredo.
The company has a bunch of warnings that make sure where you park your truck because people are stealing our semis and taking them over the border.
Wow, that's something I haven't heard a lot about, but it makes sense.
Yeah, once they cross the border, they're semi. We can't get them back.
That's a great point. What do you think about these unemployment numbers?
Well, they're kind of being screwed with but I remember it was on a Friday data dump. This happened 2 different times. It was the first time it happened is they were pulling it from the group that originally, I don't remember which group was doing the unemployment numbers, but they shifted it from that group to another group that's more directly communicates with the president. You know, it's a shorter leash.
Mm-hmm.
And then a couple weeks after that, they announced a new way to determine the unemployment numbers on another Friday data dump.
You know what's really interesting is if you look at the way they determine them, there's a bunch of different models to determine really how many people are unemployed. And again, there's no way you could ever be completely accurate. It's difficult to get even close. But there's all these different models, and they have designation like level 1, level 5, level 6, and it takes different things into consideration. But none of them are good.
Yeah, real unemployment. Remember, I was somewhere in the 20s still.
All right, Joe. Well, thanks so much for checking in. I really appreciate the call this morning, and you be safe. Make sure to watch out for that semi. Let's get to Steve Benish now. Steve is from the Dayton Daily News and the author of Scrappers. How are you, Steve?
I'm doing good, Doc.
Good to have you on again. I ran into Steve. We've had Steve on in the past talking about different economic issues, and I ran into Steve at a gathering a couple of weeks ago, and he told me about his new book, Scrappers, and I'm fascinated with it. You told me a couple of interesting things that I didn't know. And it has to do with scrap metal in the U.S., that it's being deported, that we're shipping this out in huge numbers?
Well, the fact is that scrap metal is among the largest exports to the People's Republic of China, and that it's become a go-to way of life for people who can't find jobs because the economy and the recovery is so weak. So we have this situation where you have these urban armies of the poor wheeling grocery carts and baby carriages and any type of wagon that they can find all around the streets of urban communities, gathering scrap metal and taking them to the scrap yard in order to survive. They use that to supplement whatever social assistance they can get, or sometimes just that's their income.
So a lot of us have recycled stuff. A lot of us taken scrap metal down. Those of us that haven't, we've seen people, the people you're talking about, even the poor people with the carts, and they just dump it down. We see people stealing metal.
Yeah.
I didn't know, and I'll bet most people didn't know either, that metal is leaving the U.S. That scrap, I just assumed that it was here, where they're selling it to factories and stuff.
Well, that's not. Some of it stays here, but because of how quickly other parts of the world are developing and industrializing, that metal is being used to build infrastructure and industry in places like Southeast Asia and China, where their economies are growing quite a bit faster than ours for a lot of different reasons. So, yeah, a great majority of this scrap metal is, in fact, going to places like China. In the run-up to the Beijing Olympics, the price of scrap metal spiked, and the epidemic of copper thefts and other metal thefts around the United States became a real crisis.
Now, that's a problem for the U.S. if we don't have that metal around anymore.
Well, it is. I mean, what happens is that homes that have been abandoned because of foreclosure and because of the mortgage meltdown and predatory lending, they become stripped of copper. Cell towers are looted of copper. The FBI has declared it a serious national threat because copper makes up is a critical part of our infrastructure, and when somebody steals it, that infrastructure goes down.
Now, I've known and talked about this for a while, that those rare earth metals and materials that the U.S. has, I mean, we have abundant supply of natural resources, because our country is so big. We've been really blessed. Mm-hmm. But we're not mining a lot of that stuff anymore for a lot of different reasons. Part of it is environmental concerns. But China is, and those rare earth metals go in now. They're even more valuable. They go into all of our computers and our cell phones and everything, and China does have them.
That's right. I think that's a sort of a somewhat different issue. We've neglected our own natural resource extraction here and have gone into an offshoring model and globalized supply chains, so we are reliant on other countries for their imports in order to supply our own needs, which in the opinion of many is a big mistake. We shouldn't be so vulnerable to these globalized supply chains and critical technological materials and so forth from nations that we don't entirely trust and really can't.
Well, you got the 1-2 punch too. On the one hand, we're not digging out what we do have. Mm-hmm. The other hand, we're getting rid of the other. I mean, that's going to drive, at very least, the prices are going to go up, and it's going to make us vulnerable to for our security as well.
Well, the whole point of doing the book Scrappers, it's a photo essay. The title is Scrappers, Dayton, Ohio, and America Turned to Scrap. The point of doing this book is to give people a visual reference and a real-time, real-life set of photographs showing them how loss of industry, losses in our middle class have crippled this country and have created a situation where it's you have a third world emerging from the first. I mean, much of this activity looks like something that you would see in a third world country.
I was just going through the pictures as you were saying that, and that's exactly what I was going to say. It's something that we would see in the past of third world countries going around and gathering things up, just little, scraps of former, whatever, houses, wood, but in this case it's metal. It is in an urban setting.
Well, what I've found as a journalist that it's tough to connect people to sort of highfalutin economic ideas such as trade deficit and industrial losses and plant closures and the need to reindustrialize and so on and so forth. But when you show people with these images what the result is and how formerly middle-class people have been reduced to this type of level, then they get it. They understand why the political economic elite, many of them are now talking about the critical need to rebuild our manufacturing base and to rebuild our skills pipeline, our skilled trades workers in order to rebuild prosperity and to truly recover from this Great Recession, which has really been in the making for decades because of a credit and spend import-driven economy.
Talking with Steve Benish, author of Scrappers, and as I'm looking through this, I see some of these people. It's really great. The pictures are amazing. They really tell a story about these people who are living off of just going out and finding this scrap. But I see a bunch of pictures of people digging metal up. I mean, we know about the stuff that is being stolen and stripped down or whatever, but who are these people digging? Where are they digging?
Well, this was in the course of doing this book, I ran across quite a fascinating and incredible scene, and that is a group that I found that were digging in the remains of a abandoned scrapyard here in Dayton, Patterson Iron and Metal. And what they were doing, this scrapyard had been closed years ago, but they realized that there was still metal, brass, copper, iron, whatever, still buried there, and they spent their days with picks and shovels, digging little foxholes, creating a surface mine on 4 or 5, 6 acres of what had been a scrapyard, and they dug that metal up, loaded it into 5-gallon buckets, put those buckets into the shopping carts, and wheeled them to the scrapyard to make a living. And this is how they were surviving. This is how people are surviving. I mean, I've in my neighborhood, in some of the parks around where I live, there's a routine of people who come through in pickup trucks and paw through the trash and the rubbish cans, looking for those aluminum cans to gather. It's everywhere. It's everywhere you look, and it's a further indication of a weak economic recovery and political paralysis that can't seem to get this country back on track.
Steve, when Skip and I travel across the country, it doesn't matter. We're in Texas, we're in Oklahoma, anywhere we've traveled. I grew up in Ashtabula, Ohio. Skip and I are primarily stationed in Dayton at this point. We've been in Detroit and Cleveland. You go through it. It's small town, big town. There's just empty factory after empty factory after empty factory.
And I think the public opinion is starting to recognize that rebuilding manufacturing base and restoring value-added production is really the way out. It is the exit on the highway to hell, so to speak. Mm-hmm. That an economy that's just about repackaging mortgages isn't one that's going to create widespread prosperity or allow people to climb out of poverty. So for every one manufacturing job, typically you support another 5 in other sectors. So manufacturing, as they say, throws above its weight, and that's the whole point of this book, is that we've allowed over 10 years 60,000 manufacturing plants to close, 3,500 in Ohio. We've lost 5 million, 6 million manufacturing jobs through offshoring and through and creation of this offshore economy, and that the road to recovery is through restoration of that manufacturing base.
Well, Steve, I think your book's going to do some good if people pick it up, because, like you said, I think it's not like you said. A lot of time we talk about economy, it gets pretty highbrow and boring for people, but the pictures tell 1,000 words, and I think it's a realization for people of what's going on when they take a look at your book. So hopefully they'll pick it up.
Well, thank you, Doc. Can I put in a little plug for it? It's the title of the book is Scrappers, Dayton, Ohio, and America Turned to Scrap. The soft cover is available at blurb.com. You can also buy it for all Apple devices at the iTunes Store, and it's available for all the Kindle devices at Amazon.com and at Barnes & Noble for the Nook, and there's a Google Play edition for the Android. So,
good deal.
It's Scrappers, Dayton, Ohio, and America Turned to Scrap. Thank you so much.
Steve Benish, thanks so much, buddy. Really appreciate it. And Skip and I will tweet out about it, too, so you can remember the name. It's good. It's amazing when you see it. Some of the houses, one of the pictures, a couple of pictures actually, have spray painted on the front of these abandoned houses, no copper. They're saying the copper's gone one way or another. Either we took it out, someone else already beat you to it. They're doing it just to keep people out. Maybe there is copper, but they know people are coming to get the copper. We've seen those stories in Detroit, all the street lights. In Florida, they were ripping it out of the street lights, too. This is really common. But the amazing thing to me, for those of us that pay attention, you know what's happened in manufacturing. You get all that. But when Steve told me that all of that metal, or a good chunk of it, most of it, is being shipped out of the U.S., folks, this is not a good formula. This is horrible. We're not getting the materials ourselves out of the ground. We're not taking use of our resources, number one. The stuff that we've already gotten that we could be recycling and stuff, and metal has value, we're shipping out of America. The jobs are already gone, and now the resources are leaving, and we're not replacing them. What do you need here? What is your epiphany? What is your aha moment where you're like, okay, this is a problem?
Well, it certainly doesn't seem like a very good plan. I mean, if we're shipping what appears to be a finite resource, since we're no longer getting it out of the ground, there's a limited amount of what we're going to be able to have in the U.S. of these metals and whatnot. So to just ship it all over to China.
Now, the good news is the president has a plan, as I told you. I'm going to share a little of that plan with you now. He's got a new one. Well, he's been talking economics last week or so. He's done those little speeches out and about, went to different towns, and he's talking about his economic plan. And it's a brand new plan that sounds a lot like his old plans. It's to lower the corporate tax rate from 35% to 28%.
Okay.
And 25% for manufacturers. Great. That's wonderful.
Sure.
But it was just a year ago that he raised the top individual income tax rate to 39.6%, which is what a lot of small businesses pay. Folks, those factories that Steve and I were talking about, small town factories, those were not mega corporations. They were factories, and sometimes they had hundreds of employees. Some of them were incorporated, whatever, but they were really small businesses in many cases, started by a family, brothers, a wife, whatever, who said, I have a vision for manufacturing widgets, and let's go do it. And whatever town they were in, they started manufacturing widgets. And sometimes they would branch out, and some of our global mega corporations, now our manufacturers, started out as those small businesses. But the president says, let's lower tax rates for corporate America and manufacturers, but those small businesses are going to pay almost 40%. So he's willing to simplify the tax code by saying we're going to benefit and favor corporate America. Now, I don't think we should attack corporate America, but why wouldn't you treat corporate America the same as individuals, as small businesses? Why? Does the president really believe that's the good economic plan? The president is one who has attacked corporate America over and over again, but then he throws them this bone? Why? Because of lobbyists, because of the manipulation. He, like many, are being manipulated by the lobbyists who have money, corporate America. Now, he's not willing to come out and say those things because he still has to get elected on the people on the low end who don't have the money and don't have the jobs. Do you remember when he hammered Mitt Romney over and over on the campaign trail, as he should have, for not saying what loopholes he would close when it came to individual tax rates? Remember? Yes, he should have hammered him. That was all BS for Mitt Romney. But he hasn't said what loopholes he's going to close now. He said he's willing to deal with a new tax plan, willing to negotiate those things. He's going to close loopholes. But he's not saying what loopholes. What's the difference? Where's the consistency? It is marketing to the masses and playing into their emotion, and you don't have and other people have what you should have, and all of the most primal urges, and at the same time still helping those same people who have the deepest pockets that are going to be able to lobby. And I don't say that as somebody who is jealous of the rich. No, of course, the rich should have what they have, so on and so forth. But it's not being consistent.
Well, and that's the most interesting thing about this to me is for the longest time the president's gone after big corporations, has gone after them. I mean, increasing taxes.
And
now,
wrongly, but...
Exactly. For some reason, he's had, the whole socialistic ideal of these big businesses, these big organizations have too much money, and it's gone after him the entire time he's been in public service. All of a sudden, because of these lobbyists, he's flip-flopping on that. And really, small businesses is the one who could really do benefit from it and would help the economy more.
Absolutely. Quick programming note for you. I'm going to be pinch hitting for Wilcow on the Blaze TV this evening. That airs at 7 o'clock. 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock on the Blaze TV. If you are not a Blaze TV subscriber, you've always been curious, go ahead and check out theblaze.com/TV and check out that free trial offer. I think it's 14-day trial offer.
Actually, they changed it to 2 weeks now.
Oh, okay, 2-week trial offer. You can get a 2-week trial offer at theblazetv.com, and hopefully you'll check that out tonight. Come back with find out our headlines from the weekend and late last week next on the Morning Blaze.
Not a puppy, a ninja, a dancing bird, or an angry kitty. Just a talking doc. This is the Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson on the Blaze Radio Network.
Mercury.
We've scoured news agencies from around the world to find the most profound headlines. And now, here's your host, Doc Thompson.
From late last week and over the weekend, your headlines out of Seattle. Man sexually assaults woman during church service.
A church service?
Well, it was that whole Garden of Eden sermon that I
Wow.
think did it. Yeah, that's... You can't go to church and not be afraid of being sexually assaulted.
Although I guess in fairness, that's the proper place to get absolution from doing something like that as well.
That's
So-
true. No word if it was the clergy that was responsible for it, though, yeah. Out of Pittsburgh, adult film director defends officer's photo with unicorn mask and porn star.
I saw that.
Okay, if you're an officer accused of taking a picture on our time with a unicorn mask and porn star, and your defense is from the director of the porn film, yeah, that's not good for you. Out of Illinois, I want you to listen to this one carefully. Out of Illinois, headline, 100-year-old woman mourned by coworkers after dying in a fire. What 100-year-old woman mourned by her coworkers after dying in a fire?
What did she do?
I don't know, but
By coworkers, do you mean like the knitting circle or something? Her
Workers.
crochet club?
my golly,
Her
give it up.
coworkers?
Wow. Out of Pennsylvania, Buddy Holly lookalike sought in Lowe's power tool thefts. Buddy Holly lookalike sought in Lowe's. That's the only way they can describe him. If you've seen a man that looks like Buddy Holly that's carrying around a power ratchet. Out of Georgia, family finds large KFC bucket in their front yard.
It's a large KFC bucket.
It is huge, bigger than people. It was that big.
Really?
Unfortunately, it was not filled with large chicken.
Oh,
it was
now
just
see,
a large.
That's going too far. You know, it's one thing to put an empty box out on someone's lawn.
You wake up and you're like, oh my golly, my honey, it come quick. It came true. Giant. Oh, it's empty. That's out of Salt Lake City. TSA reminds travelers to leave their grenades at home.
Okay.
I didn't know you'd have to. And out of Orange County, California, deputy is accused of pepper spraying teens' pizza.
Well, I see.
A little more pepper
I
on
can
it.
understand how somebody might want to do that.
And the best one of the week out of Bowling Green, Kentucky. Jogger robbed when he stopped to smoke. Jogger robbed when he stopped to smoke.
Okay, you're jogging.
Yeah.
And you stop for a cigarette.
You're like jogging, but all of this oxygen I'm getting into my lung.
Horrible.
Got to get rid of that stuff. You know what I could really use right about now after a 4-mile jog?
What's that?
A cigarette, a Marlboro.
Got issues? Talk to the doc. 888-900-3393. The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson.
On the Blaze Radio Network.
Mercury.
This is
The Blaze Radio Network.
Need more stimulation? Check out theblaze.com/TV.
And start your 2-week free trial now.
Warning, the following program has been cited for its copious inclusion of the word freedom, and therefore has been deemed a concern. Listening may subject you to additional scrutiny by the IRS, TSA, DOJ, DHS, CIA, NSA, DNC, FCC, USPS, FBI.
This is the sound of common sense defending freedom. The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson.
Elliot Bronstein of the Office of Civil Rights for the City of Seattle. He's from the Office of Civil Rights in Seattle.
The Office for Civil Rights?
Yes, they have a specific office apparently.
Because that can't be under the umbrella of anybody else in city government there.
No, you can't do that.
They have a whole office for it even.
And it wouldn't be something that you would just assume, right? It was just like, it's a civil right. It's the law. What do you... No, this is, there's official Office of Civil Rights in the City of Seattle.
They also have the Office of Please Don't Kill People.
This gentleman recently, and I think Glenn may have touched on this last Friday, wrote a memo to government workers in the city suggesting that there may be some words or phrases that are offensive that they've been using. and wanted to highlight some of these because we all know at the forefront of all of our minds as we head to work today is making sure we don't offend other people. All of us, each and every one of us, are not thinking about how we're going to make a living, pay for our kids, put food on the table, a loved one that's sick, anything like that. We're all going through our life saying, I want to make sure I'm not offending people today. You know that's high on my list. Each and every morning. But the alarm goes off, and the first thing I say is, make sure you don't offend people today.
Is that anywhere on your list? Let alone high on your list.
It's on a list of mine.
Is that even like smeared on the back of your list?
It is on a list of mine.
What list is that?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, what list is that? What list is don't offend people on?
It's on my not really caring about these topics list. Yes, he suggested that words like citizen could be offensive to some people, so make sure government workers...
Hold on. Citizen?
Citizen.
How is the word citizen offensive to anybody?
Well, there are people that are residents of Seattle that are not citizens.
Okay, that still doesn't answer the question as to how using the term citizen is offensive.
Imagine you're in the city of Seattle.
Okay.
And government workers there address you, a non-citizen but a resident, as citizen. Think how powerfully offensive that would be.
It's not.
Think how just a personal affront to the fiber of your being. Everything. I'm not a citizen.
I am clearly missing something, Doc. I don't see how that's in any way, shape, or form offensive. How does that go to the root of people and offend people saying a citizen and you're
because they're identifying you as something you're not. You're a resident, not a citizen.
Do you know how often I'm identified as something I'm not?
Yeah, probably a whole lot.
Online?
Mm-hmm.
Heck, just working for the Blaze, my connection with Glenn.
Yeah, see, here's the thing. At first when I saw this, I thought that he was going down the route of some people are not legal citizens, not legal residents, but they are still residents. And maybe that's ultimately what he's doing here. But I heard an interview with him, and he made a good point that there are some people who are legal residents that are not citizens. So to be accurate, let's call them residents or something like that. And I thought, okay.
Well, and I'll give him that.
It's probably more accurate. What I don't understand is, like you said, why are people offended by it if you're wrong?
And why is he spending his time on this? Granted, I mean, he does work for the Office of Civil Rights, so I'm
Well, imagine how your civil rights are violated if someone calls you a citizen and not a resident.
I'm sure this guy's looking for things to do, but damn, this is on the top of his priority list. He took time out of his week to sit down at his computer and type out a little memo. Oh, we got to address this. Let me type out this memo and send it to all of Seattle.
As I said, technically, it would probably be accurate in many cases to say resident. Some in cases it'd probably be more accurate to say citizen. But I'll give him that. I don't know why people would be offended. Maybe you should be less sensitive. But he also included another phrase or term that maybe you shouldn't use because some people might be offended by it, and that is brown bag. Because we know...
I'm sorry.
Well, like, let's say you're talking to your coworker today. You're here around by the way, Skip and I are in New York today, so we're around a bunch of our coworkers today. Imagine you say to Cal, Cal says, hey, you want to get lunch? You said, no, I brown bagged it today. I brought a brown bag lunch. I mentioned brown bag or something like that.
Yeah, how is, what is that? I don't see what.
Brown.
So?
Brown. I mean, Cal, you understand why that's offensive, right?
Of course. Brown bag. What's neutral bagging? It is the proper term.
What am I missing
I'm
here?
Neutral bag today.
Why is so anything mentioning any color now is going to be?
Well, apparently, I didn't realize it, but the term brown bag has been offensive to some people for years. He did this guy.
For what reason?
This Elliot Bronstein, the Office of Civil Rights in Seattle, has said that that's a term that had been used in a derogatory fashion. So he's suggesting other. You know what? Wait a minute. Let's. Do we have a clip of the interview? Let me play some of this to see if he explains why this stuff is offensive.
Well, for a lot of particularly African American community members, the phrase brown bag does bring up associations with the past, when a brown bag was actually used, I understand, to determine if people's skin color was light enough to allow admission to an event or to come into a party.
Hold it, Cal. Wait a minute. I didn't realize it, but apparently prior to having those color splotches at Home Depot and Lowe's when you want to paint your walls, you know, you go there, you get the color splotches, you're like in different shades of blue or brown. You're like, I think this color would be good for the bathroom. Honey, what do you think? And they hand those. Prior to that, apparently, I didn't know it, they would use a brown bag. That they would hold that up and they would say, come over here. Yes, you're lighter than this brown bag, and therefore you are light enough to be in our cool non-brown people clique.
First of all, is that true? Have you heard that?
I'd never heard that before.
I have never heard that in my entire life, that people would use a brown bag to determine whether or not you're going to gain admission to a party. I've never heard that. And I'm not saying that is not accurate.
No, maybe they did it. How ridiculous.
I've been denied to a lot of parties, and I've never had that happen to me whatsoever.
You've been denied, but not for that reason?
Yeah, just never had any bad brown bag issue.
I think even if people were doing that, and that was okay, you're lighter than this brown, you're dark. You're darker than the rest of us. Let me see.
Hold on.
I'm really.
Get the bag.
Stand right.
Okay, you're just in. Excellent. Wonderful. All right. I'm still going to watch you.
You're more of a sepia tone, so I think we can let you in.
I'm still going to watch you a little bit. I'm still going to keep an eye, but you're technically under this shade, so I think you're all right here. I think that's fine. What a bunch of nonsense. And who would ever even heard of this? And even if they had done this, why are you bothered by this? Brown bag? Wait, do the brown bags still exist? Is he talking about banning brown bags? No, he's talking about banning the phrase brown bag.
See, and that's a really good point, too.
Right. So it's okay. Think about this. You're one of the people that years ago started to go into a party or a club or access to something, and somebody went, hold on, get the bag, Pete, get the bag. All right? They bring the bag up. They hold it next to your cheek. I don't know. It's a little, put it on his under forearm. Well, you're naturally going to be lighter there. Okay, imagine the pain that somebody suffered going through this. And he's saying, you can still be around the brown bags. You're still going to be at lunch and someone's going to bring in a brown bag. You may see the brown bag, but as long as they don't use the phrase brown bag, then you're okay.
It's amazing.
Do we have any explanation about how they did it? Was it a certain type of brown bag? Because as I remember growing up when brown bags were more popular, I mean, now you got the other bags, you got the reusable totes and all that stuff at the store. There were different shades of brown bag.
That's what I was going to say, too. Is there a generally accepted shade of brown bag that...
And then what I want to know is, did they hold it up to your forehead, your cheek, the back of your hand? I mean, if they hold it up to your arm versus the underside of your arm, going to be some different shades there. I mean, I likely would have been the guy that was going, no, try it like this. Try it on my underarm. Try it right there. I've been negotiating with them a little bit. Wait a minute. Is that a standard brown bag? Is that the standard acceptable shade of brown bag? Because I got to tell you, I think that's a little lighter than some of the brown bags I've seen in other places.
It looks like a different shade of brown there. I don't know. I need the commission to come out and rule on the brownness of the bag to compare to my skin tone.
Now, is that a 7-Eleven brown bag or is that some local grocery store brown bag? Because that looks like some sort of knockoff. I'm not sure. So don't ban brown bags. Ban the phrase brown bag.
Well, and it's going to completely throw everything out of whack, too, if you're using that the brown paper in the newspaper, too, that one in between thing. That's going to totally throw things out.
Let me hear a little bit more from this guy to see if maybe he explains it.
When a brown bag was actually used, I understand, to determine if people's skin color was light enough to allow admission to an event or to come into a party that was being held in a private home. It was just one of those things that was used back in the past. Not so much today, I don't think.
I
didn't know that either, growing up. I had never heard that myself. I'm white, and there's a lot of...
He's never even heard it. He never heard it himself. He's just heard from other people that it... I got to be honest, never heard of this, never heard it was offensive. It had never even head down that road. Of all the potentially offensive things out there that we hear people bring up.
Oh, my goodness. I just figured something out.
What's that?
we're going to have to call him and tell him something else is deeply offensive to us. Because apparently you can just call him and recommend something's offensive, and he'll put out a memo.
Here's what we do, Skip. Here's what I'm serious, guys. Let's get this guy's info, and if we can, we'll send out his info, who he is, his name, or whatever. And I'm just suggesting some people call anonymously and say, listen, I work for the Parks Department, and I wanted to contact you, but I'm a little embarrassed. I don't want my name out there. And you tell him something that's offensive. I mean, we could probably get his email address. How funny would that be if he gets back next week? He has one going, yes, from now on, anybody mentioning a black bag operation who used to work for the CIA, not going to be allowed to do that. And if you grew up in a brownstone building, sorry, you're not going to be able to mention that. Think about all the potential things you could bring up to this guy.
We're going to have to rename all the brown bears in the state of Washington.
Oh, that's real troubling here.
And let's not forget about the black bears.
Blackberries. I mean, the list is endless.
You're not the black sheep.
The black sheep of the family. There's many, many things, Kyle, you got to get rid of like that. Let me hear a little bit more of this guy here. This is Elliot Bronstein.
There's a lot of aspects to American culture, particularly African American culture, that as a white person I really wasn't clued into.
Well, I can understand that. I mean, now those bags are white. I see them with the plastic bags. When at some point I'll have that held up to my skin color.
I'm just I'm concerned about that too. I really think we should have rainbow everything. It's the only way to truly.
Let me get to a call here. Is a champ in Rhode Island? How are you, buddy?
Well, I'm pretty upset this morning considering the fact that, this just elicits a whole new, blew my mind. This morning I thought to myself, I was in the hospital a couple weeks ago visiting someone, and there were white sheets throughout the facility. And they elicit both the color and then also the history of the white sheet. Think of gentlemen who used to ride around with putting burned crosses on people's front yards with starch, with the nice white starch corners there. The fact that we still have white sheets to this day, what does that say about us as a society?
That's a really good point. And Champ, I appreciate the call. Thanks so much. I would say this, Champ. If you're that concerned, you would follow this Elliot Bronstein's advice. And for everybody who may pack I was about to say brown bag lunch, you got to come up with a new term. And he's suggesting sack lunch. Sack lunch. I would say that's a potential.
You're going to go with sack lunch with the unemployment rates as high as they are right now. You're going to make fun of that with sack lunches.
For those people from Europe, you recognize that sack or sacked means being fired. So I would think that would create a bit of fear for people, or people who've been fired. It would bring up some bad memories. So maybe sack lunch. He said maybe words like lunch and learn. A phrase. So when you bring instead of a sack lunch or a brown bag or a lunch and learn.
Lunch and learn. What does that mean?
Lunch and learn. There it is. That's your sack lunch.
So you're changing the name of your lunch to a lunch and learn? This guy is out of his mind.
He said, think how accurate that is. It's lunch and learn.
Where does the learn come from? Where are you getting this learn? How did learn all of a sudden come into the equation?
See, he could have just said, again, this is all BS, but if he really wanted to change it, he could have just said you could call it, change it to lunch.
Yes, there it is.
You could just call it lunch.
You know what I call my lunch?
Lunch. Right. You could say a packed lunch. You could say any of that stuff, a lunch from home, whatever, or just lunch. But he said you could call it lunch and learn.
That's like making up words. Call it Bazoola. I brought your Bazoola from home today.
Your Bazoola lunch. It's lunch and dance. You could call it lunch and dance. You could call it lunch and skydive.
Lunch and waka waka waka.
Where
does he get lunch and learn? Seriously, I want to know where that comes from. All right, we got to get this guy on.
I just thought of something. Holy moly, this. Wow. Folks, I grew up outside of Cleveland. I grew up a sports fan.
Oh, geez.
I knew the Indians were a problem, the name Indians. And, they protest at the opening day, and anytime they've, go to the postseason or whatever, that people are down there protesting the name Indians, but I think now they should be protesting the name Brown.
Whoa! I can't believe you actually said that.
Cleveland. How about this? I've got an idea of Cleveland. You're going to have to change the name of Indians and now apparently the Browns.
Again, you're.
Yes, I'm going to say this. Let me say it one more final time, and then it'll be done. Cleveland, you're going to have to change the name from the Cleveland Browns, and I have a suggestion, to the Cleveland Lunch and Learns.
The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson. Mercury.
(888-900-3393).
The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson.
Should it be the Cleveland Football and Learn? The Lunch and Learn, you think that's better? Football and Learn, maybe?
Maybe Football and Learn, I think, is probably more...
Really excited about the Football and Learn's chances this year. This is going to be very exciting. Preseason underway last night. Did you see that? The Hall of Fame game.
Oh!
Yeah, NFL preseason. Every stinking year, I'm sure everybody says the same thing. Wow, it's football season already? I mean, you got the whole month of August still, preseason and that, but it's always seems way too early. By the way, Skip and I are broadcasting in New York today. Quick programming note, we'll be here today and tomorrow. We're here because we're pinch hitting for Wilcow tonight on the Blaze TV. We're not just a guest on the show, we're guest hosting the program, so check that out. If you would, go to theblaze.com/TV. And make sure to check that out tonight at 7 o'clock. If you're not a subscriber, you can get that free trial offer. So get that, and hopefully you'll watch us tonight at 7 o'clock. This week, we still have a bunch of prizes, prize packs that we've put together. And last week, we'd been giving them away to people sending Instagram audio segments of what you've learned. Still send those along. If you've learned something, make sure to use the hashtag #WhatILearnedToday. If you want to send us an audio one, feel free to send us that, and we'll put those in at the close of the program. But, Skip, I want to do something this week. For good submissions, and we'll start this tomorrow, really good submissions on the program, whether it's really good tweets during the program, because you can send us tweets during the program. It's not just for the end. You want to be in the end, use what I learned today. But send us other ones, comment on different topics. You can call 888-900-3393, send us audio, whatever it is. For really good submissions, we just, bam, instant prize pack. Instant winner. I think we just send that out there. Really solid contributions to the program. What do you think?
I like that. That's
All right.
really good. It's a good way. That means, you could potentially win at any point during the program.
Anytime. I like that surprise.
That makes things really exciting.
That surprise element. Any moment, you might be a winner just for being a contributor to the program here.
Am I eligible?
No. You know what? I'll say you're eligible, but there is no chance you'll actually win because you'd actually have to have a quality contribution.
That is just
accurate.
Hurtful.
That's really accurate there.
True.
All right, folks, as we head to the August recess, Congress is in recess. No, officially. I don't mean just they're usually at recess, but officially at recess, back in their districts and states. The big plan over the next month and a half, as they head home to their states and district, is, as I told you, from the Republicans' perspective, the Republicans are going to do everything they can to actually avoid actually mentioning anything that you would have them mention, anything that you would be concerned about. They are instead going to talk about all of the low-hanging fruit, the things that are going to get you all hopped up. They're going to mention things like repealing Obamacare and that, because people are going to be like, their base anyway is going to be like, right on, that's a great idea. But beyond that, they're not going to mention immigration or any of the other hot issues that you are really concerned about, ones that you're worried about them caving in on in October, which they are going to do, because they don't want you challenging them in their district. But the progressive groups are heading to districts all across the country during this recess, and they are going to be infiltrating. So what you're going to get is, you're not going to get any, or very few, libertarians or conservatives going to any politician saying, hey, we want answers. You've got to stop caving on things like immigration because wrong is wrong and right is right. And instead, you're going to get a bunch of liberals out there, liberal organizations, that are going and challenging him on this, which is going to make for incredible sound bites.
You're listening to The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson
on the Blaze Radio Network.
Mercury.
The Blaze Radio Network. Headlines.
There is a significant threat stream.
Terror threat. We're in the midst of a terror alert that is being extended. Some U.S. embassies and consulates will continue to be closed today and for the remainder of the week in hotspots around the world like Yemen, Libya, and Cairo. And there is a worldwide travel alert. New details about the intel, reportedly tons of chatter, more than what was going on in the weeks that led up to 9/11 12 years ago. Al-Qaeda at it again.
Yeah, so it is of the Al-Qaeda branch.
Here is General Martin Dempsey, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He tells ABC correspondent Martha Raddatz,
is the threat to blow up an embassy, a consulate, or something else?
That part of it is unspecified, but the intent seems clear.
Union Pacific apologized to those who are actually evacuated.
A potentially toxic and dangerous situation as a train derails with chemicals on it in Louisiana. More than 250 people evacuated from the area. The report now from KATC in Lafayette.
Now, they did say that they were working on the tracks before the derailment actually happened. No word on what actually caused that derailment. Now, Governor Jindal did say during the press conference it will be days, not weeks, before people will actually be able to get into their homes. And they are working for those that do have special needs that may need to go get medicine or pick up their pets. They will be able to be escorted back in.
Should the president cancel the individual summit that he had planned with President Putin?
Yep, I would urge the president to cancel the bilateral summit he's having with Mr. Putin.
New York Senator Democrat Chuck Schumer calling Russian President Putin a bully. He wants President Obama to call off a planned meeting. Schumer on Face the Nation on CBS with Bob Schieffer.
President Putin's behaving like a schoolyard bully.
And I'm Robert Walensky for TheBlaze.com. Now more with Doc Thompson in the Morning Blaze on the Blaze Radio Network.
The news you need from the Blaze Radio Network. Instead of punching a total stranger this morning, punch these numbers into your phone. 888-900-3393. The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson.
I just got a message. Somebody suggested that maybe instead of saying sack lunch or lunch and learn, you just say the BB word.
I'm sorry?
The BB word.
What is what's the?
Brown bag.
Oh, okay.
Right. I mean, I'm uncomfortable saying it, but I have to educate,
You know, I don't think we should do that. I mean, it's much like saying the N-word, not the actual N-word, but saying
the phrase,
I mean, just
the N-word.
replacing something offensive with something else doesn't make it any less offensive, I don't think.
Of course it does. I can say the N-word. I just said it. I can say the phrase, the N-word, but I can't actually say the N-word. So, see, that's not offensive, right?
But, see, you're making
So you're suggesting to me if I walked down the street and called somebody, quote, the N-word, without saying the N-word, that would still be offensive.
I'm sure you'd find people to say yes.
Well, then why do we say the phrase the N-word even? Shouldn't the phrase the N-word then be banned?
Soon Don Lemon's going to do a special on that if you do that. Please.
Seriously.
Don't go down that road.
I'll bet I would be in trouble, you would be in trouble, anybody would be in trouble if you walked down the street and said, quote, I don't care, you the N-word.
Absolutely.
If you said that, you're done, right? You can't say that.
Mm-hmm.
You can't say the N-word, and you can't say the phrase the N-word and call somebody that. So I'm saying we may be at a point where at some point what do you replace? How do you describe the N-word if you then ban the phrase the N-word?
I don't even know. It's kind of like in the Harry Potter world, they wouldn't say the bad guy's name.
He who shall not be named. Or whatever. The word that shall not be mentioned.
There we
go.
But
then wouldn't that even be offensive at some point?
Oh, eventually.
How about this? We'll call it the phrase.
Okay.
That says the N-word. The phrase used to describe the N-word. How about that?
Okay. And see, until that's going to become offensive, then it's going to have to be the phrase formerly used to describe the offensive word. You see, this is just going to keep deteriorating and deteriorating.
How about the BB word for brown bag? Just a suggestion. It's a possibility out there. I mentioned the town hall meetings and the different things, the public appearances from your members of Congress during the August recess. And I mentioned why this is going on. The reason I mentioned why this is going on is to encourage you to head out to the town hall meetings and actually question them. I'm not saying being a jerk. I'm just saying go in and actually question them on things like immigration. Because if we don't, the entire narrative is going to be carried not by them. It's going to be carried by those progressive groups out there because they're going to say and do things, and they are going to end up getting those little clips out there, and people are going to think they're more motivated and more mobilized and actually going to believe that the majority of Americans believe that giving illegals legal status is a good idea, and that is not the case. The majority of them still do not. Now, depending upon how they ask the question and what other terms they put in or other conditions, those things can change a little bit. But the fact is most people do not think that is a good idea. And I want to make sure we're holding their feet to the fire. The plan is for the House of Representatives to cave on illegals getting amnesty in some form in October. That is their plan behind closed doors. That's what Boehner and Eric Cantor and McCarthy, the dirtbags that are heading up the GOP in the House of Representatives, that is what they are planning on doing. We've got to make sure that they know what is coming. And here is my plan. I'm just going to lay this out there. I am no longer willing to play the game of warning them politically that they are done if this all changes, that they pass some sort of amnesty. I'm now just going to take satisfaction in punishing them politically. And I'm going to let them know that. Call John Boehner, call that dirtbag Eric Cantor, call McCarthy and everybody else and let them know. I'm beyond it. I know they're selling out. I know what's coming. And I'm not going to get all of them fired. That's not going to happen. But I'm going to get some of them fired. I'm going after them. And that's all I have left, folks. That's all I have left is my pleasure in knowing that some of these dirtbags will be punished. That's all I have. I don't care how many. I don't care if it's one of them. I'm going to revel in it. And then the next election, I'll target another one or another dozen, and I'll get another one. That's all I have left. I have no chance that they're actually going to do what's right and say no when it comes to amnesty. So, Paul Ryan, I'm coming for you too. Will I get it? I don't know, but eventually I will. And I'm determined enough. I'm going to do it. I don't care if I'm 117. I finally got Paul Ryan out of there. I will at least take some satisfaction in that because that's all I have left.
Hey, one more I have to ask you about. Eric Cantor, how do you feel about...
I just said he's a dirtbag.
Okay.
He's done.
How about what's Lindsey Graham? How do you feel?
They're coming hard at Lindsey. I don't even have to spend a whole lot of energy. They're coming hard at Lindsey. They are. I'm serious. That's all I have left. Be the disruptor, folks. They want to play the segregation game. They want to segregate us instead of finding common ground as opposed to compromise. They don't want to do what's right. Fine. I'm going to play the same game. I'm going to be the disruptor. I'm going to be the wrench in the works. I'm going to be the person that just sticks it to you. That's it. No, I'm happy to come up with real solutions. I present real solutions all the time. I'm consistent with my ideas, my values. But all I have left, because they are not doing what's right and they are out of control, is to stick it to them. And maybe, just maybe, possibly, if enough of us do that and stick it to the Lindsey Grahams and the Eric Cantors and the Paul Ryans and the John Boehners who continue to sell out instead of doing what's right, the John McCains, maybe, just maybe, you get enough of them out and good things happen.
So just to be clear, you're sticking with Eric Cantor? Is that what I...
What is going on? Are you wanting to see me have a heart attack? Are you wanting to see me have a heart attack today?
Oh, the veins starting to bomb. I'm sorry. I apologize, Doc. I clearly hit a nerve.
What's going on? What are you wanting to happen here?
Eric Cantor.
You want me to destroy the studio? What's going on? Because it's all about to happen.
I apologize.
Yeah, Eric Cantor is, by the way, is very high on my list. I have some plans for Eric Cantor. So, yes, Eric Cantor, dirtbag, just so you know. Folks, to show how I am consistent in my ideas and values, and this isn't about race when I talk about immigration and such things, that it's about doing right as opposed to wrong. It's about being consistent. It's about freedom, personal freedoms, but also the rule of law. I'm going to share with you a story out of Monterey Park, California. The city council has unanimously voted on something that I think is absolutely outrageous. They have voted to mandate bilingual signs. Bilingual signs. For private business. I'm not talking about street signs. Okay, there's a couple issues there. First of all, I would be against bilingual signs if it was public signs, if it was street signs and everything else, because I don't think it's effective. I don't think it's efficient. I think we do better when we all communicate as efficiently as possible, and you do that by all speaking the same language. It's common sense. So I would be against that. But they're talking about in private businesses. So if you own a business, boom, it's got to be bilingual. They're mandating this. Number one, overstepping their bounds because business wants to put up a sign all in Sanskrit. I don't care. If I can't read about the yummy confections they have in Sanskrit, then they're probably not going to get my business. Or if I'm already aware of their yummy confections, I may suffer through not being able to read Sanskrit.
Well, that one with the squiggly line and two going left.
I like those. Give me, you just point. Two, those, right here. End of the two, yes. And if I can't read that they're actually made of caterpillar and crickets, fine. I know they're yummy.
Caterpillar too good.
I'll do what I have to do. But to mandate business is outrageous. Under this rule, business owners must put at least one sign up that includes using the, quote, modern Latin alphabet. You cluing in on what's going on here, Skip? You figured this out?
Well, the modern Latin alphabet, that's just English.
Right? Yeah. So they're going to force stores to put up signs that have English as well. Because they can't say you've got to put up specifically English signs, so they just say you have to have included some that use the modern Latin. The reason for this, the community is over 50% Chinese. Monterey Park is just over 50% Chinese, and there are many, many Chinese businesses there who have signs exclusively in Chinese. The city council is mandating now that they also include English in the signs, essentially. And here's where I'm consistent.
That's outrageous.
It's still outrageous. Number one, these are private businesses. And if they think they are selling that their customer base speaks Chinese, which they probably do, because they're selling probably Chinese products and whatnot, or are targeting those people, so be it. If you don't want my business because I can't speak Chinese, okay.
That's fine.
I'm okay with that. I'm not offended by it. I don't care. I may still stumble in there because I might want a Chinese product and do what I can, but that's private business. If they were still saying we need to make sure that all signs are bilingual there, Chinese or other, it doesn't matter if it's Hispanic or Spanish or whatever, it doesn't matter. They're overstepping their bounds because it's private business. And number two, when it comes to public stuff, it should be exclusively in one language because it makes sense. There's consistency. If these businesses were all in Spanish and saying, well, you got to put in English as well, I would say that's wrong. That's outrageous. The reason they say modern Latin alphabet is because the stores were using the Chinese characters. And they can't say your signs have to be in English. I don't know why legally they couldn't say that, but somehow they can say with the modern Latin alphabet. So you wouldn't just see all those Chinese characters, the ones that are the pictures. And I think they have 3 alphabets. They have Mandarin. They have the one that's just the little pictures, and then they have an older one as well. But regardless, they wouldn't have just the little symbols. It'd actually have to have some English on it as well. That's their way around it. But it's still wrong. Both the police chief and the fire chief approved these regulations. They're going right along with it. Right on, let's get this done. Why are they doing this? What is their motivation? What are they saying their motivation is? Ultimately, people don't like that it's in Chinese and they can't read it. Let's be honest. That's what this comes down to.
People are worried the signs are talking about them.
Yeah, exactly. See, they're talking about me. I knew it.
That sign says something about me, I'm sure.
Which brings up a little side note here. When I was in junior high and high school, there was this, I don't know what it was. It was a fashion trend at the time with a bunch of clothes with Chinese characters on them. I don't know what it was. There was just the little fashion trends or whatever.
And now people are tattooing them.
Right. Now people get the tattoos of them, right. But they don't really know what it says. How did we know back then that they weren't saying, I'm an idiot in Chinese or stupid American or whatever?
Loser.
Right, you get those symbols and people are like, this one means love, and this one means faith, and this one means hope, and this one means charity, and this one means... How do you know that? Well, that's what the guy at the tattoo parlor said.
That's what Chuck at the tattoo parlor with the pucks in his ears said.
Hey, that means love and hope.
Oh, no, wait, that's upside down.
That means love and hope. Yeah, I know, because this Chinese girl that I slept with one night told me that. She told me that's what it means.
She drew all my characters.
Really? That's you ever ask anybody Chinese if it really means that?
We've seen time and time again these stories about people who think they have one thing and the guy says, oh, no.
No, it means something else.
That actually means lousy duck man.
I mean, it's a little different if it's on a shirt. You don't have to wear the shirt all the time, right?
A little less permanent, yeah.
Right, exactly. But the tattoos, that's going to be a problem. You know what they should do? They should put up in on the signs where it has to say it has to be partially in English. What they should put on every sign, the only thing they should put on it is learn Chinese.
I like it. Kind of like on the back of the fortune cookies,
right?
Learn Chinese.
But no, I mean, you put up what you would normally say in Chinese. It's come in and get spare ribs, 3 for $4, $8.95 a pound, whatever. We've got whatever on sale. Come in, do this, pick up Tide, whatever it is that they're doing. Put all that on the sign, and then the English, the only part in English they put, learn Chinese. It doesn't say what the product is. It just says learn Chinese, idiots. Right?
I like it. It would be effective at least.
Now, they're saying the reason, it's not that they're talking about them, it promotes economic development to have the signs in English as well. Promotes economic development.
Economic development, how?
Yeah, see, it doesn't. That's just it. It's public safety and facilitating public discussion. It's about that, they say. Public safety.
How is it
facilitating public discussion?
How is it a public safety matter?
Well, think about it. If the cops have to come in or the police and it's an emergency situation and they don't speak Chinese, they won't know that the spare ribs are on sale for $8.95 a pound, right? In an emergency, I mean, I've had spare rib emergencies, right? Chinese food too good in the middle of the night. You know, I got to have it. It's an emergency. They cited driver safety for the new law.
Driver safety?
Mm-hmm.
That has nothing to do with the actual road signs in the area.
No, it's businesses.
Private business.
Right. So it's
talking about the drive-through liquor stores?
Well, when you drive up to the building, you know, you won't know that you shouldn't stop as opposed to driving straight through. Or maybe there's a sign for the drive-through liquor stores or whatever. It says, only 5 miles an hour, something like that.
Okay.
Now, the preliminary vote was unanimous, but one council member is starting to reconsider his vote. He said, after speaking to the community and getting into it a little bit more, I've come to the realization that we really don't have any urgency for this. Let me after speaking to the community and getting into this a bit more, he's a councilman who said after speaking to the community, translation, they gave him the business. They threatened him.
Yep.
And good for them. They should. There's a second draft of it coming up, Wednesday night. They're going to have another draft reading to see if this thing passes. But it's wrong. You people in Monterey, California, or Monterey Park, it's wrong. It doesn't matter if it's English, whatever. It's private business. Let it be. When it comes to public, you put it in one language, English. Because if you say, well, we got a lot of Spanish-speaking people, so let's put it in Spanish as well for public safety. Great, we got a lot of Chinese people. You got to put it in Chinese as well. Is every stinking sign out there going to have every possible language, the 6,000-plus languages that we still speak around the globe, that potentially one of those people that speak those languages could be driving down the road, and you want to make sure they understand what the stop sign says? No. Learn the stop sign and be done with it. Get a quick break in. We'll come back with some of your calls. 888-900-3393. Also, tweet at Doc Thompson Show or at Skip Lacombe. Use the hashtag What I Learned Today, and we'll include you at the end of the program if deemed worthy. This is the Morning Blaze.
The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson.
Mercury.
The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson. 888-900-3393.
Speaking of speaking second languages, I have attempted to learn little bits and pieces of Korean because my wife is Korean. I want to be able to communicate with family and whatnot. And I've learned to, I can order food most places. I mean, let's set a priority here. Right, the things I know, I go into a Korean restaurant and order all kinds of food. I'm good. I mean, down even into specific spices like garlic, manul. I mean, I can name a bunch of those things. Other stuff, not so much. I mean, I can order drinks. I can get liquor too. I can get liquor.
And
I
you know all the
stuff.
bad words too, right?
Actually, no. Her mom and her wouldn't teach me those yet.
That seems to be the first thing people learn when they learn a new language is how to curse.
I'm sure I'll eventually learn those, but food was my main focus at this point.
I'm surprised you didn't pick up on some of it when you met her family.
The curse words?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure if I had remembered the things that they were saying, that I would have gotten curse words. But as I'm talking to her mom, and I'm learning some words and, different things, and her mom says to me, she says, now we cannot talk about you. And I said, aha, I knew it. I knew you were doing it. The thing is, she still talks about me to my wife. She just whispers now, like any other mother-in-law. She just whispers it. I'm like, oh, okay. Now, Cal, you speak a second language. You're bilingual?
Yes, I do. I speak Arabic.
Why do you speak Arabic? Is that just something you randomly picked?
No. I'm originally, my parents immigrated from Cairo, from Egypt. I was born there. Came here pretty young. But parents were pretty adamant that my brother and I speak it in the house, so we retain our native language. And
well, it's just smart to. I mean, speaking a second language automatically puts you more valuable in the workplace too.
Yeah.
So that's just incredible. That's a great idea.
Come in handy.
Can you read the squiggly stuff too?
The squiggly, not so much.
Squiggly lines.
Reading and writing wasn't big when we were here. Didn't use it as much. So I'm at a third grade level.
So it's more spoken.
It's more spoken
because you communicate with your folks.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you feel very comfortable. I mean, you could speak with anybody else that speaks Arabic, and you're probably going to.
Yeah, well,
be able to communicate
there's
pretty
different dialects. So I'm from Egypt, and I mean, it's all Arabic, but every country, you go to Jordan, you go to Kuwait, you go to Saudi Arabia.
How different is it, though?
Sometimes it can be just certain words are said a little differently, and for the most part, the base is the same, but there are.
So is it the difference between speaking English here and English in England?
A little bit more different. A little bit more. It's almost like,
so it's like being down south where you don't know what they're saying, right, y'all?
Like that.
Like
they
that?
have a bit more of a different dialect.
Something like that?
Or you speak regular English or Shakespeare English. It's kind of like a little.
Oh, like an old English, even more so.
Yeah.
Okay, something like that. That's really cool. Now, I am definitely envious of people who speak a second language. I'm envious of people who speak first language. That's
why don't you try mastering that whole English?
That's why I haven't branched out to try to learn a second language. I'm trying to focus on the first language first.
Yeah, Doc's gonna buy the Rosetta Stone for English.
I'm going to boy, girl,
immerse
run.
yourself is the easiest way to learn.
Dynamic immersion. Learn English.
Doc's going to be on the plane with his iPad and headphones. Boy, the boy is eating.
I have a pencil. The pencil is yellow.
Although, again, Doc's just going to focus on all the foods and stuff, just to look at the picture. Ooh, that
food. Ooh, I like that
beef.
Food
looks good.
Beef. What
hamburger.
Is that? That's hamburger.
Ooh.
That's yummy.
Hot dog.
Bacon. I know bacon. I got that one down. The Department of Homeland Security, speaking of immigration, has, and this is something that maybe you could possibly bring up if you're going to talk to your elected servants. They've lost some people, a couple. The Department of Homeland Security lost a million people who entered on a visa that have overstayed it.
They lost them?
Sure. Haven't you ever lost anything? Sunglasses, a lighter.
I never lost a person.
How about 1 million people?
No, never lost anybody.
Now, see, Homeland Security is required to track and report all foreign visitors that were granted entry into the U.S., but see, they say they lack a system to verify that they've left the country, according to the GAO. So all this time, while they've been telling us we're letting people in and they're required to track them, they actually don't have the ability to track them. So one of two things. Either they're saying that now just to push through part of the Gang of Ocho, E-Verify, which also partially exists, and new biometrics and stuff, or they've lied to us directly or indirectly all these years. See, federal law requires the department to use biometric data now, like fingerprints and stuff, to track visitors. But they say the system is years from being put into place. So they passed the law. It was a mandate to get it done. Didn't say how it was going to get done. They're telling us that, oh, of course we can secure the border and all of this. But they're not doing any of it. Folks, they are lying and manipulating across the board. They're not able to get any of this done. But instead what they say is they just want to make a bunch more people legal. Yeah, we can't actually get it done. So we're going to secure the border even though we can't, and then make these people legal.
The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson. Only on the Blaze Radio Network. Mercury. This is the Blaze Radio Network.
Warning, the following program has been cited for its copious inclusion of the word freedom, and therefore has been deemed a concern. Listening may subject you to additional scrutiny by the IRS, TSA, DOJ, DHS, CIA, NSA, DNC, FCC, USPS, FBI.
This is the sound of common sense defending freedom. The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson.
It is getting very, very scary. Breaking news over the weekend, the U.S. State Department will keep closed almost 24 embassies and consulates until at least next Saturday. Apparently because they offer no strategic importance to running guns to Syria. Apparently that's
Whoa. Wow.
I mean, why else are you going to close an embassy or a consulate?
I mean, the Middle East ones, those are basically like the dime store gun shops, you know?
Let me ask you, so does this base, is this going to be good for us? Can we easily take guns from here through Turkey and then get them to Syria?
No,
Can you?
No, this one you can't.
Okay, go ahead and let's close that one down. That one's not going to. How about this one? Could we get guns into Syria
that
easily?
One, yes, it's right. Got to share the border.
Yeah, don't close that down. That's good.
Keep that one going.
I mean, you're closing them down because of a threat. Excuse me, I got a question. Question back here in the back.
Yes, Doc Thompson, Blaze Radio.
Yes, I have a question. You're closing down base of a threat. Have there been any threats in the past ever with bases? Have there ever?
Yes. Yes, there have.
Follow up? I got a follow up question.
Yes,
Doc
Mr. Thompson,
Blaze
Radio. Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes when there have been threats in the past, have you ignored them? And not shut them down?
Yeah, we have.
Okay, great. Thanks. Really appreciate that. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Hey, one more follow up.
Yes, yes. Doc Thompson, Blaze Radio.
Of times in the past when you've had threats and you didn't shut them down, were there any attacks carried out? Were there any? Just a quick question.
Yes, there have been instances.
Interesting.
In which
That's
attacks,
really.
We haven't closed.
Interesting. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I can only imagine they're shutting these down because it doesn't strategically benefit them to run guns to Syria. Why else would you shut them down? You didn't shut down Benghazi. Come on now. This is really interesting, though, the threats. It may not just be because they're saying specifically the Middle East, Yemen could be an attack. But I also saw some that said it could potentially be in the U.S. And I don't mean potentially in the U.S. as in, of course, it could always potentially be the U.S. or they always kind of hedge their bets. Last night, I tweeted out from some reports that I specifically saw. Now, I have not confirmed these from 14 different sites or anything like that or sources. And remember, they're all very protected in what they will say when it comes to government servants and worker bees. But I saw several specific people claiming that the Department of Homeland Security allegedly notified the San Francisco Police Department to be on high alert following a serious al-Qaeda threat. Now, I don't know if this is the same threat. I mean, I assume it would be. I mean, you got the whole weekend, everybody going crazy that there's some big threat out there on the horizon. If this is another one, if they actually did, if they notified other police departments, and if they did, was it just we're going to blanket notify all law enforcement in the U.S.? I don't know. It could be just as a part of that threat. But I do know, according to some of the reports I've heard, that the Department of Homeland Security specifically told the San Francisco Police Department to be on high alert following serious al-Qaeda threats. According to some of the reports from insiders, and then also some of the politicians who made their way around the Sunday talk shows, some that are on the Senate and House Intelligence Committees, they described the terrorist threat as a planned attack that is, quote, going to be big and, quote, strategically significant. What does strategically significant mean? I mean, it could be strategically significant because it does a lot of damage. I mean, blowing up a major baseball game where there's a lot of people, that's strategically significant because you kill a lot of people, you do a lot of damage. But usually when they say strategically significant, something like that, they mean ideologically.
Yeah. Well, and see, for that, strategically significant can either mean a good strategic target for al-Qaeda or something that affects the U.S.'s strategy.
Right. But I think in this case, strategically significant is probably something that is ideological as well. I don't think they just mean it's going to do a lot of damage. I mean, terror in general is going to do damage. That's the whole point. It does damage. It terrorizes people. So what else is strategically significant? One insider said the part that is alarming is the confidence that was shown while they were communicating. They had an air of certainty. See, they intercepted. They say this comes from an interception of a bunch of communiques back and forth. But he said they showed confidence and an air of certainty. Not as in like we're going to try to get this thing done, but like, yeah, damn, this is going down. All right, right on. They said specifically in the Arabian Peninsula, but appeared to have a media plan already for after the attack. A media plan. Because remember, it's marketing. You know how you get your terrorists out there? You got to make sure to market it afterwards. Because part of terrorism isn't just killing people, it's terrorizing. It's making people afraid. And how do you do it? You got marketing afterwards. So they, according to what they've intercepted, they already have part of their marketing plan in place. They've got it. I guess they got their tweets all written, ready to be sent out.
Got them scheduled.
They already got a schedule to go out randomly. They got their Facebook page all built. They're going to launch that. Do you still use MySpace? I mean, do you try to get a couple of people in?
I think they do. They probably still do.
They probably still.
Yeah.
Still get the MySpace page in there. Are they on Pinterest? Will they post pictures of the horrors, the horrible acts, the dead bodies and
Probably.
stuff?
I know they're going to feed it.
They're going to feed? They're going to use
feed?
feed?
Put it on feed, yeah.
I got to get my feed account up, and I haven't used it in a while. I got to be ready to get that in case the attacks happen. I mean, at this point, you're going to cover all bases, right?
I would think so, yeah.
This other U.S. official, this insider, said, we do not know whether they mean an embassy, an air base, an aircraft, or trains. Now, that is very different from what we heard late last week and over the weekend for most of it. What do they keep saying? Who is the target? Embassies and consulates. Right? Isn't that what they've mainly focused on? They've shut down 22 of them. But this guy said, we don't mean whether they mean an embassy, an air base, an aircraft, or trains. All right, that's very different. It's very different because although it's horrible if they attack one of our embassies and Americans could die, if you're talking an aircraft, that's not just people who work for the State Department in some faraway land. A train? I take trains every once in a while. I'm not usually at U.S. embassies around the globe. That's a little less common, and by less I mean never. I've never been in an embassy, but I've been on a train. I've been on an aircraft. I've even been on an air base. Very different. A little more scary. He went on to say, we're concerned about surgically implanted devices. He said, these are guys who have developed the techniques to defeat our detection methods. Surgically implanted devices. I'll tell you what, I've often thought, wow, these people are crazy. To be able to blow yourself up for something like this and the martyrdom, whatever, but also say, okay, I'm going to have surgery first while you implant this. Stitch the thing back up, cover it all up, and then head through. Wow. See, if you have
some dedication right there.
No, it really is. If I have a bomb vest on, depending upon the vest, I still have some time to change my mind, right? Right? I'm getting ready. I'm walking in the discotheque in Lebanon or someplace, right? I think I'm going to blow these people up. Wait a minute. Do I really want to do this? I could just head to the restroom and take this thing off. I could just take it off.
I really want to see who wins The Bachelor. Maybe I'll
take this off. If it's surgically implanted, less ability to get rid of that thing.
Well, and maybe that's actually part of the reason they are doing surgical implants now, so people can't back out. I mean, if it's plugged in,
probably, but to a lesser degree. The big thing is detection. That's the big thing. But yeah, less likely to take it off. According to Representative Dutch Ruttersberger from Maryland.
I'm sorry, who?
Representative Dutch Ruttersberger from Maryland.
Your mic cut out right at the
He said that the ranking member of the House Intelligence Committee, said the intercepted communications called for a major attack. He said, we received information that high-level people from Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula are talking about a major attack, and these are people at a high level. He said it's a very credible threat, and it's based on intelligence. What we have to do now is the most important issue is to protect Americans throughout the world. See, they're surgically implanting devices. Can I take a moment here and lay this out? They're surgically implanting devices. They're notifying major police departments even in America. They're shutting down embassies. They're doing all of this. Meanwhile, when I went through TSA yesterday, I had to take my shoes off, and 12-year-olds don't. Did you see the picture I tweeted out? Did you
see the picture I tweeted out too?
Yes, I did. Skip and I did not travel together, although we both flew to head to New York yesterday. They're surgically implanting devices. The reason, according to John Pistol and others, is because these are devices that may not be detected by even the little scanner devices, not just the metal detectors and the pat-downs. They wouldn't be detected by the scanner devices. They wouldn't be detected by the pat-downs. But I still got to get a pat-down and take my shoes off. Okay, maybe focus on those things and stopping those people. You know, I'll tell you what. If one of these nutcases ever ends up on a plane of mine, the insult to injury is going to be, son of a mother puss bucket. They end up on my plane after 10 years of me taking my shoes and belt off and all this other crap as I go through whatever. That's going to be the insult to injury. I'm going to die pissed off. Serious, that's what I'm going to do. I mean, not just afraid or angry that they're killing me or whatever. The plane's going down, and I'm going to be like, you son of... For 10 years, I've been taking off my shoes at the airport. I'm going to absolutely lose it at that point. For that reason, God. So I go through. I'm taking the shoes off, and I see a little sign here. It is one of those cute little caricatures drawing. You know, it's a penned out one for kids. It's not an actual picture, and it's a lady. It's make sure I get it right. It's TSA Officer Smith. She has glasses on. It's a little caricature of a woman, and she's kind of waving to the kids. And it says, and this is a sign as I'm going through TSA screening. Hey, kids, good news. If you're under 12, make sure to tighten your laces because you can keep your shoes on during screening. Then at the bottom, your safety is a priority, TSA, blah, 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 blah. So just to sum up what's going on there. Kids under 12 don't have to take their shoes off when they go through screening because we know that nobody under 12 would ever blow up a plane. It's only people over 12. It's when you get to be 13 that you start saying, yep, I have become jaded enough in my 13 years of life that it's now capable. I now could potentially blow up a plane. Under 12, that would never happen.
Well, and it's not just under 12, too. I've also seen signs that if you're over, I think, 75, you don't have to take them off either.
By that point, you're at a point in your life, you've seen it, done it, been there. You say, it's just not worth it.
You've caused enough terror.
I've terrorized enough in my life. If I haven't gotten it in by 75, that's all it is. I tweeted out a copy of this picture, and then I put, good news. If you're a terrorist, you just need to use kids under 12 to carry out attacks at U.S. airports.
Oh, but come on. They would never have kids join their militia.
They're surgically implanting devices. We don't screen kids under 12 or people under 75, but yet I'm going through all of this nonsense when I go to the airport. They have no concept how to protect America. Their only solution is, let's spy on Americans and see what they're doing. Let's read their emails and tweets to find out if they're talking about sex or drugs. Let's be voyeurs and watch what's going on. You know, a lot of them people, they send out naked pictures of each other. Let's go ahead and spy on what Americans are doing. They have no concept. It's beyond the illusion of security. It's the illusion of security for we, the American sheeple, to pretend like we're safe, but all the while, they're spying on us. They have the capability, and in actuality they are, at times, looking at everything all of us do, but still will not actually secure the border, secure TSA, will not profile, none of this stuff. It's the bearded Spock world. Meanwhile, what was the picture you tweeted out? They're hassling some old dude?
Yes, while I was getting my pat down, I look over to my left-hand side, and I see a very elderly man. I later find out, because I ended up talking to him.
Like 50?
He was 84 years old. He was severely hunched over. Old man, frail.
He could barely get around.
Difficult time. Yeah, he was having a rough time, so much that he actually had to rest himself against the table while they were doing the pat down. I mean, he was not able to stand under his own. And yeah, they somehow felt it necessary to give that man a full-fledged pat down. He doesn't have to take off his shoes, mind you, but he still had to get his junk touched by an agent. The hell is going on with the TSA?
This is like the one Airplane movie. It might have been Airplane 2, the one where they're going through the metal detectors, and there's guys dressed as soldiers with automatic weapons going through. And it's just the people it wasn't TSA at the time, but just watching them. Nothing. And a little old lady goes through and it goes beep. And they throw her up against the wall. They start frisking her. There's no common sense with this. Skip, there was another incident yesterday when I flew. Actually, there were several incidents yesterday when I flew, including some stuff I took through security. Yeah. I took some stuff through security. Quick break. I'll come back and tell you that story coming up next in The Morning Blaze.
The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson. Streaming stimulation that is safe for work. Only on the Blaze Radio Network. Mercury.
You're listening to The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson.
All right, there were several incidents as I flew yesterday because I flew yesterday.
By incidents during Doc's travel, you can just Doc traveled.
I share these folks because I'm going to continue to shine the light of truth on the flaw that is the blight that is the TSA. They're not
blight.
No, they really are.
You're right.
No, they really are a blight on all of us. They cost us gobs of money unnecessarily. They're not actually accomplishing anything, and I've had enough of it. I'm tired of being hassled. I'm tired of having my rights infringed. Not even for security, because it's not even secure. Let me elaborate. Number one, I go through the little TSA line, tell the guy I'm flying out of Cleveland at the time to JFK. The TSA agent standing there, I said, I'm not going through the little scanner. He doesn't say anything to me, walks over to the little gate, and starts goofing around with somebody at the other end of the gate. I'm assuming that the guy is telling him, there's one to opt out because he held up one finger, but then he said, uno something, por favor. Now, he wasn't Spanish or Hispanic, neither was the other guy. It was not a well-spoken Spanish dialect or anything. He was just screwing around, with his buddy, the other TSA agent. So I'm standing there. He starts yelling as he comes back to everybody, keep going, up to the machine, up to the machine. And a couple people are standing there. He goes, you, get up to the machine. And the guy goes, oh, I didn't know. I thought he, meaning me, was next in line. He opted out. And I said to him, you don't have to yell at people. If you would just explain to them, that's what it was. He goes like this. He goes, people not follow, if you just follow instructions here or something like that. And I said, people would follow instructions if you didn't yell at them and actually instructed. And he said, not my problem. And I said, excuse me? Not my problem. And I said, what? Oh, I didn't hear you. I said, what? And then tried to lie about what he said. So I got beyond that. Whatever. Get to the other side. They pat me down. Don't take my stuff off of the conveyor belt. They leave it over there. When I go over to get it, some goofball coming through has his muddy shoes sitting on top of my laptop while he puts his stuff back together. I go, what the hell are you doing? He goes, what? I said, you've got your shoes on my computer. Get them off. He goes, well, you were causing problems at TSA. Now you're going to cause problems with me. F off. So the guy says to me, I just start going off on the guy.
Oh, man.
He goes, leave me alone. I said, I'm trying to leave you alone. We leave my stuff alone? Oh, I hate that stuff. So that was it. That was my fun TSA experience. But then when I got to the other side and I get in New York, I realized I didn't check anything because it was a short flight and we're only here for a couple of days. I had a smaller bag. I had all of my toiletries in there. I had my little bag of deodorant and toothpaste and cologne and gel and whatever. Most of it over 3 ounces and multiple items. None of them were in the little plastic bag. None of them were removed from my little bag of toiletries. I completely forgot they were in there. I always check my bag because we're usually gone for longer periods of time. I didn't even think about it. I had packed the bag, didn't think, put it through. But to the other side in New York, I was like, oh, yeah, they didn't say anything.
There have been a couple of times I've had my toiletry bag in my my carry-on luggage.
So why is it we have to put stuff in the bag if you're not catching it, and why didn't you catch it? And what if it was something explosive? What if I had nefarious purposes in mind and had items that could be used for nefarious purposes?
Folks, we're screwed. If they want to commit a terrorist attack, they're going to be able to.
They didn't catch the stuff. Why not? There's one more example of the illusion of security as opposed to actually security.
You're listening to The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson
on the Blaze Radio Network.
Mercury.
Radio Network. Headlines.
What do you make of the decision to close all those embassies, all those consulates? What does it say about the president's foreign policy? And what does it say about our fight, where we stand with al-Qaeda?
The al-Qaeda terror threat front and center. Chris Wallace on Fox News Sunday posing the question to the panel as word embassies and consulates will continue to be closed this week in light of an increase in terrorist chatter. Bill Kristol with the Weekly Standard weighs in.
4 years ago, President Obama gave a much heralded speech, his outreach to the Muslim world, and now 4 years later, we're closing embassies throughout the Muslim world. A year ago, the president said al-Qaeda is on the run, and now we seem to be on the run. I'm not criticizing the decision to close the embassies. That's probably the right thing to do for the sake of trying to save American lives and others, but it's a terrible thing that just a year ago, boasting al-Qaeda is on the run and Osama bin Laden is dead, and now an unprecedented closure.
Should the president cancel the individual summit that he had planned planned with President Putin?
Yep, I would urge the president to cancel the bilateral summit he's having with Mr. Putin.
New York Senator Democrat Chuck Schumer calling Russian President Putin a bully. He wants President Obama to call off a planned meeting. Schumer on Face the Nation on CBS with Bob Schieffer.
President Putin's behaving like a schoolyard bully, and in my experience, I've learned unless you stand up to that bully, they ask for more and more and more.
And add her to the list. Yet another woman comes forward to say San Diego Mayor Bob Filner sexually harassed her. Here's the Blaze Radio's Al Cannon.
Renee Estelle Sombright is the 10th woman to come forward. Sombright told a co-worker what happened.
The mayor came at me, and she said, "What? He's engaged." I said, "Oh my gosh, nasty." It's just nasty.
And I'm Robin Walensky for theblaze.com. Don't miss Glenn Beck coming up in just 30 minutes. Now more with Doc Thompson in the Morning Blaze on the Blaze Radio Network.
The news you need from the Blaze Radio Network. The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson. 888-900-3393.
All right, folks. I knew it. God. This stuff just... Last week, Skip and I were talking about Edward Snowden. We were talking about security and safety and the whole thing and the NSA spying and whatever. And Edward Snowden allegedly had gotten a tweet from Anna Chapman. Anna Chapman is that former spy that was here in the U.S., red hair. If you don't remember her, you can do an internet search for it, but make sure your safety controls are on. So I'm explaining that she had tweeted him a marriage proposal, allegedly. It was really an odd story. Skip did not remember who Anna Chapman is. So I said, Google her, pull up a picture. Skip, using my computer, because his was on the fritz, my company-issued computer, my company-issued laptop that travels with me, pulls up the picture of Anna Chapman and doesn't have the safety features on. Meaning, when he Googles Anna Chapman, some naked pictures came up.
Totally worth it, by the way.
Is it worth getting fired for, though?
No.
Okay, because that's my concern.
Well, it wasn't my computer.
Yeah, that's a point. Is it worth me getting fired for?
No.
So I say to Skip, you got to put the safety features. What are you doing? Then over the weekend, that was Friday, late Friday night over the weekend, I get a little company email. All employees, subject, company internet use. Reminder about only using company resources for official use. Blah, 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 blah. Appropriate material only on your company computers and laptops. And then an attachment including the official company handbook, specifically referencing page 29, that deals with internet use and appropriate material. Now, why do you think that randomly came out, Skip?
I don't know. There could be, a lot of reasons for an email like that, refreshing. We also got a bunch of emails about some new hires, so maybe they're just wanting to make sure everybody has the information.
What are the odds on the day that you use my computer and company internet access to search for porn, essentially?
I was not looking for porn.
I didn't say you were looking for porn, but you got porn. That's what happened. Anna Chapman is going to bring you porn. Come on.
I wouldn't. That's not even porn. Those were artfully taken shots.
By Hustler?
Artfully taken. Come on. They weren't Hustler.
They were pretty graphic.
Not Hustler.
Was she naked? Did she have her naked naughty bits exposed?
She had
thank you.
Some skin exposed.
Okay. The point is, you do that, then we get an email on this stuff. So I'm a little bit concerned that not only do they think it's happening on company whatever, but it's specifically me because it was my computer. I mean, you got the email. You already told me that. I'm assuming it said all employees, and that's what the address was. But, and maybe other people in the company have violated this as well, but I'm on the radar screen. If they're looking at this stuff, I'm on the radar screen. And what scares me even more is I responded to it. I didn't get a reply. I don't want Glenn thinking that I'm the one doing the wrong things here. I mean, the only reason Anna Chapman ever came up because it was in the news, and we look for a lot of this stuff. It's part of our job to research some of this stuff. We'll look up interesting, questionable stuff, but those are the news stories. We're not actually on, Google Images looking at porn and then going to some of the sites that it recommends for it. I'm really, really concerned that they're getting the wrong idea about this and not getting the reply. Well, I didn't get a reply to Glenn's voicemail either. I left Glenn a voicemail on Friday. Okay, I left Glenn 2 voicemails on Friday. And then I replied to that email. Oh, my golly, you don't think I tipped him off because of the voicemail?
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Jesus.
Dude, I told you shouldn't have called.
I wanted to set the record straight. I'm an above-board person. I take responsibility when it's mine. I throw it out there. I just wanted them not to think the wrong thing, but I may have tipped them off inadvertently. This has gotten way out of control.
I think you did, man.
Anyway, well, it's out there now, and I'm on the radar screen. I left Glenn 2 voicemails. He doesn't respond. I leave the text or the email reply to it. I get no response there. This is I got to clean this up, man. This is spiraling out of control. I got to 8, 7. This is way out of control.
Hi, this is Glenn. I can't answer the phone right now. Please leave a message and I'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Hey, Glenn, I responded to the email about surfing for porn, but I never got a reply. I'm a little worried. I want to make sure you understand why we're searching for Anna Chapman. I'll be available today until about... I can't leave a short message because I'm never going to be able to explain this, and this is way too short. So if I can at least get him to call me back.
Wait, you're calling again?
It cut off the time. I just want to tell him what time I'll be available to so he can call me back. So if I can just get like a minute or 2 of his time, I'll explain what happened, but this is way out of control.
I can't answer the phone right now.
If I don't get a chance to talk to him, it's just going to get believe something that's not. Glenn, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting how short your message is. I just want to explain what happened. I just want you to know I will be available, so please call me, but I have to do Will Cow tonight. God!
Jeez. Doc. You're calling again.
I just want to get the... Don't say anything. You're distracting me.
Please leave a message and I'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Keep talking at this. Glenn, I'll be available at 1 o'clock until 1 o'clock today. Just call me by 1. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to bother you anymore. Yes, there were naked pictures of Anna Chapman, but there was no reason for disciplinary action. It wasn't anything like that.
Disciplinary action?
I don't want any disciplinary action. I'm just telling him it's not that.
Suggest that to Glenn. You already tipped him off with the porn search to begin with. Dude, what are you thinking about? I wouldn't.
Well, I'm telling him not to. I'm telling him it's nothing he needs to be
worried. You told him the same thing about looking for the porno. What happened the next day? You don't suggest that, Doc.
This is not good. I'm going to have to talk to him. I don't know where he is today. I think he's in Dallas, and we're in New York.
Dallas,
I've already emailed.
He'll get back to you. That's the best way to get a hold of him.
Okay. I think you're right. All right.
Just.
I told him I'm at until 1. That gives him an hour. Because he gets off at noon. That gives him an hour to contact. I mean, he can talk to me tonight, but
that's fine.
All right.
Now, don't worry about it, man. You'll be all right.
This is really getting inside my head now.
I can tell.
No, because I left him. He didn't respond to the voicemails, and then how hard is it for the email to just respond and say it's not a problem?
He gets a lot of email. There's a lot of people that work for the Blaze.
You don't think that, so you got me freaked out about saying about the disciplinary.
You're calling again, dude? He's getting ready for a show right now.
Yeah, but he can get this as soon as he gets off the air, though.
Dude, serious, man.
I just want to clean it up.
Hi, this is Glenn. I can't answer the phone right now. Please leave a message message, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Glenn, the disciplinary action thing, I'm not suggesting that that's something we actually need to do. I'm just saying it's not something. If you look at the scope of what we were doing, it was Jesus, this is not.
Dude, you're making it worse now. You're digging a hole.
I can't get it out in 10 seconds. Why is his voicemail message that short anyways?
So people don't leave long, droning messages.
But this is the story to this. This is bigger than just whatever.
That's what email is there for. Maybe if he.
But he's not responding to the email.
Well, he's at least seeing it, dude. I'm sure. You already called him the 4 messages, man. Out of control.
Now I'm. This is not working.
I know
out.
you're troubled by this, but you've derailed the whole ending of the show. I mean,
we'll figure out what we've learned. If you've got them, send it at Doc Thompson Show and at Skip Lacombe. Use the hashtag What I Learned Today, and send them out now. We'll get to them in a second. I'm just wondering if I should I have somebody leave him a message down in Dallas, like write a note?
No.
He knows I'm up till 1. I think we're screwed here, Skip. I think we're screwed. No, I'm screwed. You're not. It was my computer.
Serious. You're going to be fine, though. Hang up the phone. Doc.
Hi, this is Glenn. I can't answer the phone right now. Please leave a message, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Glenn, I don't think this is going to work out. This employment thing. I'm sorry. I'm not sure.
Did you really just leave that message for Glenn?
Yeah, I don't think I can overcome this.
You don't think this is going to work out?
I don't think I can overcome it. I don't. I think I've headed down the path.
Dude, let's talk about this, man.
I need a break in.
The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson on the Blaze Radio Network. Mercury. The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson.
All righty, that is it, ladies and gentlemen, the end of the Doc Thompson Show. But before we go, as always, let's find out what we learned today. We learned that it was bad enough for the economy when Charlie Sheen stopped partying as much as he did. But if Elliot Spitzer stops buying hookers and Amanda Bynes stops buying drugs, the economy is screwed. We learned that I love watching Northeastern Ohio's new NFL team, the Cleveland Football and Learn. That's their new mascot, the Football and Learn.
It was very offensive before.
We learned that after an 8-mile run, nothing refreshes quite like a Marlboro.
During an 8-mile run.
During an 8-mile, you stop a little, yeah. We learned that if you're in Pennsylvania operating a power tool, excuse me, let me try this again.
I'll edit that out.
Edit that out. We learned that if you see Buddy Holly in Pennsylvania operating a power tool, call the police.
Who looks like Buddy Holly these days? Seriously. Who goes out there and uses that Buddy Holly look?
Can I get that hip, young Buddy Holly look? That's what I'm going for.
I mean, it's kind of like the hipster, NBA player type look now, too.
We learned that instead of a beer summit, if Rand Paul had offered a 600 donut summit to Chris Christie, he probably would have gotten a response he wanted. We learned that according to Salt Lake City TSA, it's a good idea to leave your grenades at home.
I'm just saying, were they on the ban list before?
We learned the U.S. State Department will keep closed almost 24 embassies and consulates until at least Saturday because they're of no strategic importance to running guns to Syria.
Hey-o!
We learned that pepper on pizza is good. Pepper spray, not so good. All right, I just got an email from Stunt Brain, from Mike Opalka, saying that That call was not good, and I left the impression that the wrong idea at the end of that last call to Glenn.
Well, yeah, I said that.
Let me dial this.
No. Doc.
I left the wrong impression. Please, allow me. Just one more. I just want to make sure. This is just setting the record straight.
Glenn. I can't answer the phone right now. Please leave a message and I'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Glenn, when I said this isn't going to work out, I meant that it's me. It's not you. I don't want you to make you think it's you. It's me, Glenn. It's my problem, and I just didn't want you to. All right, I'm just. Skip Lacombe, producer, what, if anything, did you learn today?
I learned if you leave a large bucket of chicken on someone's porch, you can at least have the decency to leave some chicken in it, too.
I would say yes, leave some large chicken in it.
Very, very upsetting. I learned the Seattle Office of Civil Rights is right down the hall from the Office of Please Don't Kill Each Other. They're real next to each other.
Seems pretty obvious.
Yes. We learned Doc will be using... Let me start that over. We learned Doc will be using immersion and Rosetta Stone to complete his English training.
Deep immersion.
And finally, I learned...
Dynamic immersion.
I learned luckily Doc did not take down yesterday's flight with his toothpaste. He probably could have.
Absolutely. The combination of that and the cologne, I could have taken him down, I'm telling you.
The cologne that does it.
You don't think he thought I was quitting, do you?
Just let it go, man.
Cal, spinning the dials radio style in the next room. What, if anything, did you learn this morning?
I learned that Chris Christie's lap band surgery could single-handedly affect the economy of New Jersey.
Yeah, New Jersey's tanking right now. They are tanking.
And by could have, you mean absolutely is?
Absolutely will. I learned that Doc has a list of stuff he really doesn't care about, and number one is offending people.
That is true. I'm not that concerned with that, other than Glenn.
I also learned that in order to avoid offending anybody, from now on, my brown bag lunch will be called Fluffernutter. So when I say I'm Fluffernuttering it, I'm bringing in lunch from home.
Sounds dirty.
And finally, I learned that every TSA break room in every airport across America has a large picture of Doc Thompson with a headline at the bottom that says, "Whatever you do today, you must make this man's life a living hell when traveling."
There's a lot of people in a lot of offices, not just TSA, that have that. There's a lot of people's offices around here.
There are radio stations all across the country that have that.
My wife has that in her office, just so you know. Lots and lots of. Cal, by the way, you're Fluffernutter. I wouldn't suggest you say that down on the street.
No?
Especially here in New York. You don't want to offer look for Fluffernutter on the street. That's going to be bad for you.
You must know something I don't.
Just start heading south. You'll find something.
I'm just thinking I should clarify the thing.
Dude, are you serious?
Skip Lacombe, producer, what, if anything, did the listeners learn today?
Let's do with the Instagram one first. Here's one of the ones we got from today from Fala.
Here's a list of things you can no longer say. Salad tosser. Vanilla wafers. Red corn chips. Yellow corn chips. White corn chips. Cracker.
Crackers. I think you could still say anything white.
Yes.
Cracker, I think, still acceptable.
White corn chip is okay, as is cracker. But yellow and red corn chip, very, very offensive.
Very troubling.
All right, back to the tweets. Michael R. learned we got the 40-hour work week from FDR's New Deal. We got the 29-hour work week from Obama's Raw Deal.
That is worthy of a second one. Let me read that again.
Michael R. learned we got the 40-hour work week from FDR's New Deal. We got the 29-hour work week from Obama's Raw Deal.
I'm going to go ahead and give it to him. I'm going to give him a prize pack. We said this week, as long as I still have a job tomorrow, this week we're going to be handing out random spot Morning Blaze prize packs because just if you're a great contributor, and that's brilliant. That's absolutely. But we'll do it throughout the show, too. We weren't going to give one away today, but that's one more time. Hit that one a third. This is an unprecedented third reading.
Michael R. learned we got the 40-hour work week from FDR's New Deal. We got the 29-hour work week from Obama's Raw Deal.
Nice.
All right, moving on. Jonathan learned I'm torn about Christie's weight loss. Loss of part-time jobs or more bacon for everyone.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. By the way, the saltwater taffy industry in New Jersey, the Jersey is just wrecked now.
Matt H. learned Chris Christie is holding out for a Krispy Kreme summit. Hashtag fat rhino, hashtag clogged arteries.
Here's what I'm seeing in the future. If that presidential run doesn't work out so well, Krispy Kreme. Chris Krispy Kreme.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, he gets a franchise going.
I love it. All right, Casey learned, what's up, the N-word? That's going to be sweeping the nation now. You're going to hear it in the rap songs. All kinds of rap songs going to be using it now.
What's up, the N-word?
John W. learned that Citizen Kane is the most offensive movie ever made.
Oh, yeah, that's Citizen in it.
Citizen Kane.
That's
very,
it, yeah.
Very
Can't Citizen's troubling word.
Stinky learned people have plenty of ways to reject Cal without resorting to bags. Hashtag you work with who? And actually, a bonus from Stinky. The only English word Doc needs on a restaurant sign is broccoli.
Broccoli!
Yes, indeed.
Oh.
Denny learned...
Broccoli last night.
So good.
Broccoli too good.
So good.
Broccoli too good.
Now I want broccoli. Denny learned, why is it called a brown bag lunch when we clearly should be using reusable bags?
Reusable bag lunch.
Yes, you can use the reusable bags to determine.
Mm-hmm.
Joey learned Seattle really needs to get rid of Elliot Bronstein because of his name's offensive.
Oh!
Elliot Bronstein.
That's a great point. Bronze.
Just saying.
Bronze in the sun there.
Very, very offensive. Rocky with an eye learned, I'm really offended by the Office product whiteout. Let's call it erase out.
Did you say broccoli with an eye? So.
Yes.
Okay.
Broccoli! All right, Cinemax learned, Cincy learned language barriers will not stop Doc from getting pastries.
That is true. I will find that food. I will find a way to communicate my confectionery needs.
And that was Scenic Max. I couldn't read my own typing.
Mm-hmm.
Matt W. learned something pastries, something dark side, something frosting. I don't know what that's in reference to, but I like it.
Maybe laugh.
Fat Natty Boy learned the word sack is terribly offensive to quarterbacks.
True.
Troubling. Sean learned, I learned that the black tie wedding I went to last week was just a gathering of racists.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that. You're right. I would maybe tie and learn in the future.
Yes.
Use tie and learn.
Exactly.
Ooh,
Big Daddy.
Tie. You can't use tie.
Why? What's wrong with tie?
It's short for Thailand. Thai people.
Oh,
Taiwanese.
I see. Okay, we should just move
on.
Big Daddy will learn Doc and Rachel Gintel can get a group rate to purchase Rosetta Stone English edition.
We can share. That's right. That's really good. Uh-huh.
Coy learned awesome. Now my children can keep their shoes on when being molested. Coy, that's really sad. I don't even want to laugh at that.
It's sad that Skip just laughed at that.
That was you. Since he learned Skip was finally smart and tried to fly without Doc, and Skip still had issues flying.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes,
I've rubbed off on him.
Chris Johnson learned...
Much like the TSA.
Oh, wow. Good morning. Chris Johnson learned it always makes for a good Monday morning show when Doc flies over the weekend.
Yeah, that's always fun.
Steve learned don't get in the TSA security line with or next to Doc.
Mm-mm.
Joe learned Glenn needs to use selective call block from Doc's number or the madness can stop.
See, now you got me worried
don't
again.
Give him that idea. And finally, Josh Morrow learned, I think we finally know why Doc got fired from his job in Detroit. Hashtag Anna Chapman, hashtag voicemails, hashtag porn.
I'm going to have to dial this up again.
No.
I'm just gonna, because he's got me worried about this. No, he's the one who brought it up.
Dude, he goes on the air in 10 minutes.
He doesn't have to get him now. He has an hour when he gets off the air before I have to go over and start the prepping for Will Cow. He can get that done then.
I can't answer the phone right now. Please leave a message and I'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Glenn, don't block the call. Don't do anything like that. Just understand, that what we did came from the heart. You understand? We're just really concerned about everything. I'm going to have to start scripting this stuff out ahead of time.
Seriously, man. You only got 10 seconds.
All right. By the way, you didn't get to those new numbers on procrastination. Those are coming up tomorrow. What else do we have coming up at the big show tomorrow?
Tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.
If we're here.
Assuming we're here. Talking to a guest about the impending climate change and the next ice age coming. You think global warming was scary.
Oh, no.
Wait till you get the whole ice age.
Well, and that killed off the dinosaurs. I mean, Chris Christie this time around is really...
Wow.
Should I have gone fat or should I have gone old with dinosaurs? Hit me again. This time around, Nancy Pelosi and John McCain are really... All right. Yeah, this has really got me a little trouble tomorrow. I may have to call him when I get off the air.
Oh.
All right. The Glenn Beck program is coming up at X here on the Blaze Radio Network. Have yourself a great day. We'll see you tomorrow, maybe. The Doc Thompson Show for now is a Skip Lacombe production. Sic Semper Tyrannis. Good night, Steve Cannon. Wherever you are. On Young. Now, you go home.
I'm sorry, Glenn.
Will Cow show tonight. Maybe.
We'll see.
The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson. Only on the Blaze Radio Network.